So today I kind of wanted to get back to my series on numbness and tingling in the upper extremity. I know the first video I did was a few weeks ago and was just a general numbness and tingling in the upper extremity. And the last one that I did was on carpal tunnel specifically. So today I wanted to talk primarily about ulnar nerve symptoms and primarily cubital tunnel. But what happens when you get ulnar nerve symptoms? So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Heather. I am a certified hand therapist and occupational therapist, and I specialize in the treatment of injuries in the upper extremity, and I help people get back to doing the things that they love, and I do this in a holistic way. So my goal is always to really look at the activities that people are doing to get to the root of the symptoms. I don't want to just treat the symptom, the muscle or the joint. I want to know what's causing the symptom so that we can prevent it from coming back. So we treat it and then hopefully prevent it from coming back. So today is the ulnar nerve. So as you all know, I got my anatomy book, which weighs about a ton. I really need to get a smaller one, but it's such a good anatomy book. This thing is old. I won't tell you how old it is. So the ulnar nerve. So up here, all right, the ulnar nerve obviously starts in your neck because all of them start up in your neck. There goes my splint. And it comes down, and this is in the elbow area. So this is one of the main areas that it gets compressed. It can also get compressed up in your neck and in your armpit as well, but it tends to get very cranky down at the elbow. So when you hit your funny bone, it's not funny at all. It will bring you to your knees. It will be painful. It will shoot symptoms down into your hand many times. So you're actually hitting your ulnar nerve, which is right near this bone. It's very close to the surface. That nerve comes down, down into your wrist. So it goes through a little tunnel called your Guillen's canal here that your ulnar nerve goes through. So right over here is your median nerve that goes through that carpal tunnel that we talked about last time. And right next to it on this side, on your little finger side, here's your little finger, is your ulnar nerve that's very close to the surface as well. So the ulnar nerve supplies sensation to the little finger and half of the ring finger, and it works these two guys over here too. A couple other things it does, but in general, that's the muscle action that it does. So there's actually a really cool picture in here that I just came across today. I think after looking through this book so many times, but this just gives you a really good idea so you can see how the nerves start up in the neck and where they travel to, all right, kind of where their distribution is. We call this a dermatome, but you kind of can see where every nerve goes to. So on the front and then on the back. And see, it gives you a visual. They all really start up in the neck. The blue area really just goes to the neck and the head, but the other ones go down into your hand. So I thought that was just kind of a good visual to really drive home the fact that you have to look up and down the entire chain. So ulnar nerve at the elbow. So obviously it starts in your neck, but it comes down, and one of the areas it really gets entrapped in is in the cubital tunnel, which is right here. Okay, it's very close to the surface. It's like this little groove. You can feel it if you kind of bend your elbow. You can feel it in there. Sometimes what will happen too is that there's a ligament that holds that ulnar nerve in place. And sometimes if that is overstretched and not very stable, you can actually feel your nerve kind of come in and out of that little bit of a groove, and that will irritate it and give it symptoms as well. But anytime you overbend your elbow and you bend it fully, you're pulling on that nerve and you're overstretching that nerve. And when you're overstretching that nerve, it gets squished. Remember, nerves don't like to be squished. They like to be round and plump so that they could get good oxygen. So if you are holding the phone and you're getting numbness and tingling into your hand, that's a sign that you're overstretching your nerve likely in through this area. If you're holding a book for a long period of time, people will complain that their fingers go numb. That's also another symptom. So any kind of overpressure and overstretch on the nerve can irritate it. The other thing that can irritate it is if you rest on it a lot. So a lot of people will do this. So there's my elbow getting squished, my ulnar nerve's getting squished, or if you're kind of, this position especially, now I'm really honking down on my ulnar nerve when I go into that position. They do make elbow pads, which have a cushion in them that you can kind of slide over. So if you do rest down, it gives you at least a little bit of a cushion so that you're not on a hard desk edge, and that is helpful. But if you're getting the numbness and the tingling, you want to avoid the extreme flexion, all right? You want to avoid resting on hard surfaces. You could be coming from your wrist as well, so you want to avoid resting on hard desk edges or anything like that, because again, it's very close to the surface, just like that median nerve is in your carpal tunnel. It's very close over on this side. The other thing that we do a lot of is, my splint just fell on the ground, so bear with me as I get it. And I think I showed you this in the first video, but we make these custom splints and we mold them directly to you. So if you're really cranky ulnar nerve, when we sleep at night, we have a tendency to sleep in fetal position many times. And again, that is pulling on that nerve. So what we do is we mold the splint directly to you, all right? Not over all your clothes. And then it's strapped on with the Velcro. And what this does is it prevents you from bending up so that you can't go into that fetal position. And it also prevents you from going completely straight, right? There's a quote unquote happy space for that nerve to be in that tunnel, which is, there's controversy, but it's roughly around 40, 45 degrees. So, and then you wear this at nighttime. So the first few nights you wear it, you will rip it off and throw it across the room. It takes probably about a week to get used to, but eventually you will get used to it, and it'll just be like nothing, and you'll sleep and you'll wake up in the morning usually with less symptoms, and that just sort of calms everything down. So the other thing is to look at what are you doing that's contributing to these symptoms. So I treat a lot of musicians, and I have a bunch of guitarists that had gotten treated, and they're kind of just focused on the symptoms, but things didn't quite go away. So when you look at the actual cause of the problem and you look at how they're playing, they're actually resting their forearms, a lot of them, on their instrument. So your ulnar nerve starts in your neck, but it comes down through here, and then it also comes down into your forearm. So when you're resting your forearm even on an instrument and they're playing for hours and hours and hours at a time, you just have to very slightly change the technique and get your forearm off of that area so it's not causing compression. And as soon as we did that, their symptoms went away. We worked on the soft tissues around them to calm those down as well, and then their ulnar nerve symptoms went away. So again, you can treat the symptoms, but unless you look at what might be causing the problem, it might be fruitless. So you have to look at the whole picture, So cause, effect, treat the symptoms. So if you have any questions, please comment below. I'm happy to chat.